Gustav Fechner. Man lives upon the earth not once but 3 times. His first stage of life is a continuous sleep. The second is an alternation between sleeping and waking. The third is an eternal waking. In the first stage, man lives alone in darkness. In the second, he lives with companions, near and among others, but detached, and in a light which pictures for him the exterior. In the third, his life is merged with that of other souls into the higher life of the Supreme Spirit, and he discerns the reality of ultimate things. In the first stage, the body is developed from the germ and evolves its equipment for the second. In the second, the spirit unfolds from its seed bud and realizes its powers for the third. In the third is developed the divine spark which lies in every human soul, and which already here through perception, faith, feeling, the intuition of genius demonstrates the world beyond man to the soul in the third stage as clear as day, though to us obscure. The way upon which we pass from the second to the third stage is not darker than that by which we reach the second from the first. The one leads to the outer, the other to the inner aspect of the world. But death is only a second birth into a freer existence, in which the spirit breaks through its slender covering and abandons inaction and sloth, as the child does in its first birth. At death we step into a still more free, quite new empire that is not detached from the former one, but rather encloses it. Then all which with our present senses only reaches us as exterior, and as it were from afar, we become penetrated with and possessed of in all its depth and of reality. The spirit will no longer wander over mountain and field, or be surrounded by the delights of spring, only to mourn that it all seems exterior to him. But transcending earthly limitations, he will feel new strength and joy in growing. He will no longer struggle by persuasive words to produce a thought in others, but in the immediate influence of souls upon each other. No longer separated by the body, but united spiritually, he will experience the joy of creative thought. He will not outwardly appear to the loved ones left behind, but will dwell in their inmost souls and think and act in and through them. But in the moment of death, when the man is separated from the organ upon which his acquisitive efforts were bent here, he suddenly receives the consciousness of all, which as a result of his earlier exterior life in the world of ideas, powers, and activities still survives, prevails, flowing out as from a wellspring, while still bearing also within himself his organic unity. This, however, now becomes living, conscious, independent, and according to his destiny, controls mankind and nature with his own completed individual power. Whatever anyone has contributed during his life of creation, formation, or preservation to the sum of human idealism is his immortal part, which in the third stage will continue to operate even if the body, to which in the second this working power was bound, were long since destroyed. What millions who have died, have acquired, performed, and thought, had not died with them, nor will it be undone by what the next millions have acquired, performed, and thought, but continues its power, unfolds itself in them spontaneously, impels them towards a great goal which they do not themselves perceive. The ideal survival seems indeed to us only an abstraction, and the continued influence of the soul of the dead in the living but an empty fancy. But it only appears so to us because we have no power to perceive in them spirits in the third stage. To comprehend a predestined and permanent existence, we can only recognize the connecting link of their existence with ours, the portion of increase within us, appearing under the form of those ideas which have been transmitted from them to us. This is the great justice of creation, that every one makes for himself the conditions of his future life. Deeds will not be requited to the man through exterior rewards or punishments. There is no heaven and no hell in the usual sense of the Christian, the Jew, the heathen, into which the soul may enter after death. It makes neither a spring upward nor a fall downward, nor comes to a standstill. It does not break asunder, nor dissolve into the universal, but after it has passed through the great transition, death, it unfolds itself according to the unalterable law of nature upon earth, steadily advancing step by step, and quietly approaching and entering into a higher existence. Therefore be active and brave, for the idler here will halt there. The earthbound will be of a dull and weak countenance, and the false and wicked will feel the discord which his presence makes in the company of true and pure spirits as a pain, which even in that world will still impel him to amend and cure the evil which he has committed in this, and will allow him no peace nor rest until he has wiped out and atoned for his smallest and latest evil deed. But however long the false, the evil, and the base may still prevail and struggle for its life with the true, the beautiful, and the good, yet through the ever-increasing power of truth and the growing force of evil's own self-destructive results, it will at last be conquered and abolished. And so of all falseness, all evil, all impurity in the soul of man, there will at last be nothing left. Rejoice then, even you whose soul is here tried by tribulation and sorrow. The discipline will avail much, which in the brave struggle with obstacles in the path of progress you have experienced in this life, and born into the new life with more strength, you will more readily and joyfully recover what fate has denied you here. The mind of man is alike indistinguishably his own possession and that of the higher intelligences, and that which proceeds from it belongs equally to both always, but in different ways. Have the best constantly in mind, and be careful only that the memory you yourself are to leave behind shall be a blessing to you in the future. It is a dark and cold world we sit if we will not open the inward eyes of the spirit to the inward flame of nature.